And we were talking before we left for the news, Chris, about I had this interest in the way that society and culture changes, and our assessment of risk changes, and what is acceptable and what isn't. You mentioned Europe. Mentioning Europe and health and safety in the same breath could get you a lot of listeners' ears picked. So tell us about the European influence on what happens over here for health and safety.
Well, the principal piece of health and safety legislation in this country is the Health and Safety at Work Act, which goes back to 1974. And that is a highly regarded piece of legislation worldwide, copied on many occasions by Australia plus many other countries. Now, below that sit a set of regulations, oftenly called the six-pack, quite a few of which come from Europe. It is Brussels which has generated those, and being a member of the EU, this country is obliged to interpret them and then apply them in this country. So to that extent, the majority of health and safety laws should be uniform across the EU.
Do the people in the EU in other countries implement them the same way we do you think, or is that...
Is that a loaded question, Mike?
Well, no, I just have this thing about we always do we always stick to the rules, but I wonder if other countries do. I'm probably doing the disservice to Italy and places.
The straight answer is no, but I mean there are some quite interesting anomalies to that. Firstly, the majority of Europe runs a different legal system to ours. Ours is common law, theirs is a Roman law-based system. Therefore, the implementation will, by definition, be different. The regulations have to be interpreted by the local enforcing authority, which also requires some form of consultation before they are then enforced in each country as well. And there may always be some other language difficulties as well. Some of Northern Europe, the language doesn't allow them to distinguish between a hazard and a risk, for example.
Wow,
we run a risk-based system.
Yeah. So what's the difference between a hazard and a risk?
A hazard is anything which has the potential to cause harm. Risk is the likelihood of that
harm
occurring.
occurring.
So we could, for example, legitimately describe a triangular flapjack as a hazard.
Correct.
But the level of risk is
Low.
generally low, subject to the ingredients and who cooked it.
Yes.
Okay. So your risk assessment would say, wow, this is some kind of hazard, but hey, it's never going to happen.
Correct. And in this country, there is no obligation to consider very low risks.